Oh my. Oh, Nuji, I know. You gotta be quiet, honey. Mommy's doing her video. Hi, Sharon. Good evening. How is everybody? If you're on and watching, please say hi. Let us know where you're from if you're new. Hi, Jean. I know. Hi again. For some reason, I was in the right orientation when I went live. And then these things kept popping up, but like Facebook was trying to tell me something, but it was going the other way. So I thought if I turned my phone, it would go the right way, but then I really messed things up. And so, hi Doris. So, hi Barbara. I had to try over again. Hi Susan. So welcome back. Oh, technology. And I swear Facebook changes all the time. Hi Judy. So now it's kind of behaving like it did before a couple of weeks ago. So hi Carol. I never know what I'm going to find once you hit the live button. Hi Beth. So tonight we're going to make a Scrappy Pine Diagonal Easel card. Hi Pat. I was inspired by a little quilt pattern that was on a quilting Facebook page. Hi Lori. And so I just thought it would be something really cute that and easy that I could show you. Hi Peggy. So welcome everybody, and thank you for accommodating me on a Thursday night instead of a Thursday morning. Hi Joanne. So I thought that, you know, I got home about 6 o'clock last night, and I thought I could jump right into a morning live on Thursday, but after being gone a week, I needed to come home, see what needed to be done around here, what needed my attention, and it was just gonna make me feel rushed. So by pushing it back to this evening really helped me out a lot. Hi Paula. And I thought I was going to have all the time in the world last week to get ahead, but 4 little dogs took more of my time than what I thought that they would. So, hi Stephanie. So yeah, things just didn't work out quite as I had planned, but they worked out nevertheless. And I had a blast babysitting for Chloe, Joey, Elmo, and little Bella. So it was all good. So let me turn the camera around and we'll get started. Okay, just bear with me, because I do need to just change some things around. And I think I want to do this. Maybe I need to bring it a little bit closer. Okay, let me move things to the other side. And now I can just kind of spread my tools out and have a lot more room for play. So I hope that everybody is doing well this evening. You know, it's been rather chilly here, and this weekend it's supposed to be back in the 70s, so can't complain about that. But I have a lot of plants that I noticed while I was gone. The cold zapped them, so they're going to have to be taken care of here in the next couple of days. So hi Linda, hi Holly, and Pat. Okay, so at least everything is still working good. So this is the, if you follow any quilting Facebook pages, you might have seen something that looked similar to this. And I put it into paper form, and this is going to be our Diagonal Easel Scrappy Pine. Okay, our tree is actually going to be made out of half square triangles. Okay, and then we've got 3/4 inch squares that is going to be the border to our little quilt pattern here. So I had done this one in more of a kind of like a rustic cabiny feel. And then I did this one, and I used some holly and some berries and made this more Christmassy and put a red bow and stamped 'Tis the Season, and added a few jewels there to look like Christmas lights. So you can make this give it a Christmas feel, or if choosing other papers will give it a whole different sense and feel to someone. So I just thought that this would be fun to show you how to do. And I had watched a YouTube video from Connie Stewart, and I really like how she did the bumper to her easel card. So I'm incorporating what I watched Connie Stewart demonstrate to make this bar here our stopper for the easel card. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we are going to do our Scrappy border. And I had listed to have you cut 5 different DSPs, a 3/4 by 3 inch strip, and then we're going to subcut these into 3 inch squares. Now I went ahead and did the majority of them, but I'll just show you with these last two, and I'm going to cut them together. Just put them together, and just going to put them up here at 3/4 of an inch. It's so hard working up here towards the top when I'm used to doing everything practically like in my lap down here. So bear with me. So we're just going to subcut these strips, and I like to keep them separate. And these 5 strips, because the paper is double-sided, is actually going to give you 10 different patterns to choose from to put in your border. So just one more cut, and like I said, I had done most of them earlier. Oh, these are going to be a little short, and I thought this might happen because I'm trying to do this from away from myself, so I'm really not judging that line. But I have plenty here. So those were a little short, so I'm just going to set those to the side. And we'll bring that trimmer back in later. But what I want to do is bring in a silicone mat. I have already started my Scrappy border, but a 3 3/4 inch square piece of copy paper, grid paper, maybe even scrap cardstock will work okay. I just want to move this a little bit. And because we're going to end up covering up this piece, but as long as you know that your square is truly square, then what I want you to do is follow the outside the outside lines of your paper, because it's going to be important that everything is nice and straight here. We're going to cover up this center, so if you have some that are a little short or a little long, it's going to get hidden, okay? So when I'm cutting up my pieces, I like to show both sides. I like to, there's the opposite side to this one, so I just put 2 and 2. That way I can see all my different choices that I have. So we're just going to put all those. And what I've started doing is just putting them around the outside of this 3 3/4 inch square. By using grid paper, you can see that every 3 squares is 3/4 of an inch. So it helps keep you straight. But like I said, I want you to pay attention that you stay straight at the top. The inside isn't, it's a little forgiving. Okay, so all we're going to do is finish going around, and I'm just looking to see what patterns I haven't already used yet. This is just Scrappy. And again, we want to pay attention that you're staying straight across the top. So we're just going to keep going. Thought this might help shorten up how long it would take if we were to do this whole square. And let's see, let's put one of these here. Remember, just look at both sides of your designer series paper. Pick which ones, you know, have some contrast. And just what keeps it interesting. I think we'll do this one. I'm going to put those berries going down the other way. And sometimes you might have to overlap the one that you have done before in order to keep this edge straight, but that's okay. That is okay. Let's see, what do I want to do here? I think I'll do another one of these light ones. Keeping that straight. And then let's put in another brown one. Put that right there. Make sure my side is straight. Hi, Stephanie. So when you send these, that is a good question, Stephanie. You know, there is, and I'm sure somebody here that is watching may have it. And if you could, if someone has it, could you upload it into the file section over in Quilt Cards and More? Because there's no file section, unfortunately, on my business page. But I know I have seen little inserts that say that this is an easel card. With the diagonal easel, I think it's pretty, they'll figure it out by the way it twists and then it just stands up and it finds that bumper. But with easel cards, I have seen a little insert that you can put with the cards. I don't have it, but if somebody in the group or somebody watching tonight has it, and you would be so gracious as to upload it in the file section in the group, I think we would all really appreciate it. Then we can just print off a copy and send it with the card? That was a really good question. Okay, so now here, there is the Scrappy borders to our little mini quilt. Okay, so now what I did, and I have one that's already done, I ran this through an embossing folder because I wanted to get some quilting in my border there. So I ran this through, this is one of the tiny embossing folders. I actually embossed half of a side at a time because they're so narrow. But I wanted to add some quilting, but I did not want that same quilting to be in the pine tree that we're going to put on top. So once you've got this done, then you can go ahead and run it through an embossing folder if you wish. And then we will, when we're done with our pine tree, then we'll put that right on top. And it doesn't, I ran mine through the subtle embossing folder. I just wanted to have two different looks and not an overall quilted pattern. You can if you want, but I went ahead and did this one like that. So I'm going to set this other one aside and I'll do that later. But now I'm going to be working with this piece here. I'm going to go ahead and set all these little squares aside because I've got more cardstock and stuff cut so that I can make some more of these cards. So I will just set these aside and that'll be my project for later. So now we're going to make, as you can see here, you can see the quilting that's on the border here. And then you can also see that I ran the pine tree through a very subtle embossing folder, not anything that's going to compete with everything else. So that's why I did them separately. Okay? The timber embossing folder would look really good with this for the centerpiece. So we're going to bring in this 2 1/4 inch square. We're not going to glue anything down to this square right now. But you know what? We've got to cut our half square triangles. So back up. Bring back in the trimmer. And then I had you cut a 3/4 inch square, a 1 1/4 inch square, and a 1 1/2 inch square. And we're going to turn these into half square triangles by putting the points in the trimmer. And I'm going to bump this up to the top. And if you can tell, these little bumpers on the Stampin' Up! Trimmer really help to hold anything that you put on point in so that it, can you see? Hopefully this doesn't blur, but it helps hold your squares on point so you can get a nice cut. Yeah, there, it didn't go out of focus. So again, I'm going to put the corners or the points of my squares in the track, and then I'm just going to cut, and now I have 2 half square triangles, and we're going to do that for all of these 3 squares. And I don't like to start cutting on a point like that because it sometimes smushes the paper up. So I'll just hover my cutting blade over my square and put the guard down and then push down into the cardstock and go up and down. And then that way I'm not pushing that blade into a point, which sometimes scrunches up the paper. Okay, so I'm just going to hover this over the middle there, push it down, push my blade into the cardstock and go up, down and up or down. So here we have all of our half square triangles, and these pieces will actually give you 2 trees. So you have an extra one to create. So I need one of all of those, and then I had you cut a little 1/2 inch square. This is going to be for the trunk. And what we want to make sure, the reason why we brought this square in, is we don't want to stretch out our tree and it be longer than this center square. It's got to fit inside the 2 1/4 inch square. So you just kind of get a feel for if you want to stretch your tree out, and your tree does not have to be perfectly straight. And we're going to tuck this underneath. So you just kind of want to get a feel for keeping your tree within this 2 1/4 inch square. I'm going to take these pieces off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue across the top of the tree trunk and then glue it behind the bottom portion of the pine tree. So I'm just going to kind of center that. And just hold it and let that glue grab. I like using the multi-purpose glue instead of tape runners. Again, we're not gluing anything to the white yet. And then I'm just going to set it there. And I'm going to bring in the second set of, like the second tier of my pine. And kind of get a feel for where I want it to go, I think I'm going to stretch it just a little bit. And in order to know where I don't want there to be any glue from down here, I like to take a pencil. Where's my pencil? And I'll just draw myself a line there. And I know that I don't want any glue going below that pencil line. So then I'll just put some glue up in there. And I'll use that pencil line to find where I want this next tier of my pine to sit. Just going to press it. Try to make it a little even. Okay, so we've got the second tier of our pine tree. And now I just want to make sure that I'm not too close to the top. Now you might want to leave room because you might want to put a star or something at the top of your pine tree. Keep that in mind for when you're placing your pieces down and knowing where you want them to go. I'm just going to draw a little line there. I'm going to keep my glue from going below that line. And then I'm just going to put that next half square triangle up there at the top and hold it. And you can see this cute little pine tree. Now, once you've got your pine tree made, we're going to center it onto this white square. Keep in mind when you place it, if you want to add anything at the top, you're going to want to keep it down towards the bottom a little bit if you're going to add something to the top. But if not, just center it. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue. I don't want it coming squishing out all over. So I'm going to try and get enough on there that it holds, but not so much that it comes out from underneath. And I am just going to center mine and push it down. Make sure that it's holding really well. And then what I do is, and what I did on my other cards, is once I have the pine tree on the square of basic white, then I ran it through the subtle embossing folder. And I did one ahead of time so that you can see. The pressure of the rollers helps put everything into place, and it gave it that texture. The timber embossing folder will do something very similar to the texture, if you have that. And I know the subtle embossing folder is retired, but it is my go-to and my favorite in quilt cards. The timber one is very close, okay? So I'm going to set this aside and finish that whole quilt block. And then once you've embossed it, then you can glue it on to the red layer, centering it, giving it a nice even border. So now we have all of our components. So what we're going to do, I have a 4-inch layering square. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this to that 4-inch layering square. Come on, glue. Brand new bottle. You should not be doing that to me. So we're just going to give yourself that nice border. And then we're going to put glue on the back of our pine tree. And because this is bigger than this square here, we're going to hide that opening. So you just want to lay it down, make sure it's straight. And then give it a good press. And the quilt portion of our card is now done. This will be brought back in when we're ready to put it on the easel card. I was thinking as I was doing this, if you've done the barn quilt card kits, this square here is pretty similar to the squares that we use in those quilt cards. So if you have any past kits, or if you saved your patterns, you can always do this same scrappy border, but do another one of those barn quilt squares and put that in the center. As long as this is 2 1/4 inches, which a lot of times our barn quilts are, and then you just add that layer, you can put it right over the top. You could even put this up on dimensionals if you want to. I haven't tried that, but I don't know why you wouldn't be able to do that. So let's set that aside and let's bring in the trimmer. And now let's make our card base, okay? So our card base is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. So this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. We've just cut it so it would be the 8.5 across the top, your shorter side. We just cut that at 4 1/4. So you would have you'd get 2 card bases from 1 sheet of cardstock. So it's a half a sheet. Okay. What we're going to do first is we're going to cut off 1 1/4 inches. And this piece here is going to be our bumper. So cut off 1 1/4 inches. Then what I want you to do is take 1/8 of an inch more off. So I just moved it over so I was on 1/8 of an inch on this side. And take 1/8 of an inch off. And then set this aside. This is going to be our bumper. Then what we're going to do, I'm going to get the cutting blade out of the way. We're going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay. Now, when we fold this, what we want to create is that diagonal fold to make the easel. So open this back up, and we are going to score from the bottom left corner to the upper right corner. So I'm going to keep this at the bottom, and I'm going to put that score line right in the track of my trimmer. And I'm going to put the upper right-hand corner up here and keep that in the track also. And then score. Okay, it's hard to see the score line, but it's there from the lower left to the upper right. And then we'll go ahead and we'll crease these. We're going to fold. This is creating the easel. Okay. So we're going to fold, crease, and then to help lay it down a little bit more, I'd crease that again. So here is our easel. Now what we're going to do, I had you cut a 4-inch square of basic white. And that is going to be glued right to the right of your center score line. And we want to leave a nice little border all the way around. So let's glue that in. Had to get some glue off my bottle there. So let's just give a nice little border here. Okay. So let's cut our designer series paper. I had forgotten to cut a backing. But if you have a 4 by 12 inch piece of designer series paper, the first cut we're going to make, and we're going to put the long side up at the top, we're going to cut a 5 1/4 inch backing. So this piece is going to be the back to my quilt card. Then we're going to cut a 4-inch square. I'll show you what we're going to do with that. And then we need 2 1-inch squares. There's one. Here's two, and you'll have an extra piece there. This 4-inch square, we're going to cut on the diagonal so that we have 2 half square triangles. Okay. Get that out of the way, bring our card base back in, and one of these 1-inch strips, I'm trying to see how these cut, because I'd like to kind of go back together the way they, I don't think that's it. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I was trying to get them to line back up. I'm not going to fuss about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue this 4 by 1-inch strip onto our card base, leaving that nice border all the way around. Okay, so there we did that. And then if we bring in this bumper piece that we did, was that it? Oh my, what did I do wrong? Oh, that's why something doesn't look right. I scored, what did I score? No, I scored it at 5.5. That's right. I did that right. Well, we're going to make this work. If you notice, I took that 1/8 of an inch off, and maybe I didn't. Oh, yes, I did. I did it right. I did it right. Okay. So this is what Connie Stewart had shown. That instead of centering this so that you have the same border all the way around, you're going to move it all the way to one side. So this side here, the designer series paper, is going to be flush with the cardstock. And then we're going to glue it down that way. I'm even a little bit short there, but that's okay. So you want this right-hand side, you want these layers to be flush. Give myself a small heart attack there. So I'm just going to keep all of these sides together. Maybe 1/8 of an inch was a little too much. The thing with this being the stopper is that it shouldn't be too noticeable. Okay, so this is our stopper. See this, the green, your card base between your basic white and your designer series paper? We're going to lay this right along that side so that the card base underneath gives us the separation, like we had placed this on one piece with the border down the middle. I hope I can explain that correctly. Connie did a really good job of explaining it. But this is going to be our bumper. I'm not going to put it on yet, because what I want to do is we're going to put one of these half square triangles of designer series paper on the inside, not the bottom half square triangle, but the top. We're going to put that in that corner. Just center it in there. Should have a nice small border all the way around. And then when you fold the card front, when you fold it over, your other half square triangle is going to go right up here. It's actually on the same side as the one on the inside. That's going to get glued right there. I'm just going to keep it right inside that score line. Look at my borders, give it a nice even border. And so now when you've got something to look at when your easel is standing up, they're going to have some pretty designer series paper to see there, and then we use the other one on the inside. So before we put our stopper, I'm not going to do my stamping yet because I need to see where my stopper is going to fall. Let's put our back on, but I'm going to flip my paper over this time, and I'm going to put the pine cones on the back. The great thing about double-sided paper. So this is our quilt back. And while I've got that there, I'm going to put my button on. There's my button. And now we can bring back in our quilt square. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue this. I'm trying to line up my points. This point, let me show you. I'm trying to line up this point with the score line and this point down here with the score line. That should give us a nice even border. To make sure I don't put glue where I don't want it, I'm going to put a light pencil mark. And I know I want my glue to stay on the inside here. For some people, it might be really easy to see just with their own eye where not to put the glue. I like to make sure that I am not putting it where it doesn't need to be. So again, I'm just going to put this point on that score line, this point on this score line. Oh, it's upside down. Whoops. Oh my gosh, that was almost a disaster. Oh, my heart is in my feet right now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That would have been terrible. Okay, and so, oh, you know what I did though? I got glue on the back of this. Oh Lord, please come up, please come up. I just messed this up. Not too bad though, because I don't think I'm allowed to take any weeks off from doing Facebook Lives. I just totally almost messed this up. I'm going to use this adhesive eraser and I'm going to get this off. This can be saved, thank goodness. Oh, Lord. I hope I didn't mess anybody else up. I can still feel it. Whew. And as this adhesive dries, it'll make it easier to come in and get that off. Well, oh my gosh. I can't believe I saved it. Okay. Focus, Julie, and get back to... So here's our card. Now we're going to put this bumper in. So I'm just going to fold that open. And I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. Where are my dimensionals? Oh, here they are. I'm going to use 5 of them. Okay. And with the side that's flush, I'm going to line it up with along the right side of my white square. And I'm going to have to bring this down to me so that I can make sure that I am doing it straight. There we go. So here we've got our bumper on. See how it's going to stop the easel from going any further, because that corner is going to get tucked right there along that bumper. Okay. Now, I wanted to kind of give some kind of a point of interest here to this panel right here. It just seemed empty to me. So what I did was I stamped and then die cut 3 pine cones and some pine needles. The stamps that I used was Christmas season, and I did the small pine cones. I stamped the pine needles, and then with the seasonal label dies, I cut them out, and then I put Wink of Stella on them to give it some glimmer. And what I want to do is I want to put that right here on this panel. You'll notice that this is flat, but there's a gap there because we put our bumper up on dimensionals. I'm going to need a dimensional underneath the pine needles here, here, and here. So I'm just going to flip that over, and I know I can use the outside edges to my dimensionals, but I really like to start a new pack. And I like to leave those outside pieces for maybe longer strips or something. So I'm just going to start a new pack. So I'm going to put a dimensional there, and I think I'll use mini dimensionals to put one right there, one right here, and then I'm going to put glue here. So let's take these dimensionals, are going to balance out the pine cones because this is a step down. So I think I'm just going to put it like right there. We don't want our our point of interest here going outside of the our card base, because it's got to fit in an envelope. So there's that. And then I tied a bow with the black and white gingham there, and I am going to put the bow maybe just right there where the pine cones come together. And I'm going to do that with a glue dot. And then all that's left really is to see where our space is that we can do a little bit of stamping. So I am going to put that glue dot on the back knot of my bow. I think I'll just put it right there. So here's my little thing of pine cones and the pine branches. And I've got this space, got glue on my finger, hold on. I've got this space here that I can do a little stamping. You could do some stamping up here also. But I think right now, all I'm going to do is put a little saying right there. I had used joy and then 'tis the season. I think I'm going to do joy again, but instead of putting it straight like this, I think I'm going to put it on the diagonal. And the stamp set that I'm using is Brightest Glow. I want to stamp this off first to make sure it's okay. Nice. And then I know that it's going to be right in here, so I want to get that red out of the way. Lay that flat. Put joy. And then you could put some more stamping around it if you wanted to. I want to just keep it simple. And then if you wanted to add any more embellishments, you could. But I think I'm just going to call it done. So there is the Scrappy Pine Diagonal Easel card. And if you didn't want to do your bumper the way that I did it, then you could always just make some alterations. Maybe make your 4-inch square of basic white, maybe make it longer, and then you could make a different stopper that you wanted to. But this is what I wanted to show you. I really liked Connie Stewart's way of putting this bar stopper on here. And I wanted to try it, so why not try it together? Oh, somebody put a mad face. Did I mess your card up for you when I glued mine upside down? I hope not. Oh, there's a sad face again. Okay, well, I apologize. It is alive, and I do make mistakes, so I'm sorry if I caused you to maybe do something wrong. I did not mean it, okay? So anyway, there's our Scrappy Pine quilted card, and it could be for Christmas. You could totally make this a non-Christmas card. Maybe not use red, put in some other colors so that it didn't give off that feel that it's for the holidays. You could also make a birthday card just change your design, and you wouldn't really even have to do something that looks like a quilt pattern in here. You could take some die cuts. Maybe you'd want to put your pine cones here and make that your focal point. There's so many different things that you can change in this design that will totally fit any occasion or fit the person that you are sending it to, okay? Oh, good, Jean. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Oh, thanks, Marilyn. Hello. Yeah, I'm hoping somebody's fingers hit the wrong emojis. You guys know how I will take that to heart. That's it for tonight's card. Again, here's one that I used holly leaves and the holly berries, added some rhinestones to look like lights or ornaments, and then here was a different pine cone. I only used 2 there. So I hope that you will share your creations over in the group Quilt Cards and More. If you haven't joined yet, we would love to have you. We do a lot of sharing over there. I think it's a really fun group. You can get to it from the group tab on the Chirpy Card Maker page, and then request to join Quilt Cards and More. We'll get you in there and you can start sharing with everyone. So, hi Josephine. You have to catch up. Hi Amanda. It wasn't me with the mad face, but I'm thinking that it was accidental, just hit the wrong thing. But like I said, you guys know me. You know that I'm going to think, oh my goodness, what did I do wrong? I hope I didn't mess it up for somebody else. So I guess that's all part of when you go live. Anything can happen, and I do know for a fact that it happens to the best of the best. So I'll just get over it. So I can't wait to see what you make. If you haven't seen the update to the clearance rack over at Stampin' Up! Or in my store, please go check that out. I don't know if anything has sold out yet because it's while supplies last. I know some of the designer series paper that they brought back or offered again was really, really popular, and just kind of by some of the comments I had seen in other places, the Blackberry Beauty, or the Christmas paper with the Blackberry Bliss and the gold and stuff, that was a pretty hot item. So I don't know if that is still available, but you'll just have to go over and check out the store and see if there's anything in there that's discounted that you might have missed the first time around, and now it's being offered again, so you have a second chance. But go check it out. So I will see everybody next Thursday at 11:30. We'll go back to our regular time. Okay? So everybody have a blessed evening. Happy creating, and I can't wait to see what you create.